This dichotic listening, learn, earn, return from July 3rd. Learn, earn, return, chapter 20, which is what we're doing here on YouTube, where each video is learning, earning, returning your YouTube time back to you. Chapter 20, limitless. Writing, chapter 21. Writing morning pages, journaling, savers, sounds, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, scribing. A website, chapter 21, writing a website. Chapter 22, NLP, neuro linguistic programming. Programming yourself, coding another being, aka vagina, whispering to your own vagina. Gestalt linguist. That wraps up chapter 22, limitless, because this book's only got chapters 1 through 19. Chapter 23, Eli. Your brain, it's a dirty, dirty liar. Busy Gold's book. Eli is chapter 33. Now, chapter 23 of Limitless. Chapter 24, Stepping Towards a New Destiny, which is chapter 19. Good morning. 35. What are we doing 35 of? Unpopular truths. Have we already done 9? 7. Either way, we've done a large chunk before the clapboard even clapped. Are we going to be able to hit 35 unpopular truths before this video ends? Because we could be making Walker Texas Ranger jokes, or we could finally understand what the OC's all about. What's Orange County about? Oh no, OC does not stand for Orange County. OC stands for the Oriental Cowboy. Harmon's Epic Adventures. This is going to be a wild, wild ride. Where are we going? Where are we going? We're going on a thrilling point-to-point roller coaster, up and down within a world. You won't even have to leave your sofa, ladies. You won't even have to leave bed. We're going inflection point to inflection point. We're going bullet point to bullet point, as if we're riding on a high-speed torpedo, straddling that torpedo as if it's a giant food baby that, propelled out of our ass, propels us forward. Is that a visual that you now get? Because this is like being shot out of a cannon. But being actually shot out of a cannon, it sucks. This is like being shot out of a financial cannon, where your propellant, your accelerant, your going forward to the inflection points of your life are going to seem amazing. Why? Because this is the map that we are now on due to anti-gravity. Why? Because the economic hitman has come home. Why? Because you don't have to struggle with understanding stuff when money dies. Oh, you will have your first Larry Chang video. You can and you will have your first Chinese friend. You can and you will love 35 unpopular truths. Unpopular truth number one: we're not paying with subs and likes and comments or likes. We're not paying. Those aren't payments. That's where the unpopular truth of if a YouTube channel were to stand on its own, it wouldn't need likes and subs. The content itself would stand on its own. What's the best kind of content? True story. What is the best? Is it content that affirms, hey, it's okay for you to procrastinate? That's just a mental retardation, a remediation, or a form of depression. Lying to you about the fact that, one, you're not mentally retarded. Two, you're not procrastinating. You're being strategic in how you allocate energy. Three, I'm not going to say that there's nothing wrong with your brain, because everyone's brain's got something wrong with it. But the inherent problem is you have 0 Chinese best friends. And when you have 0 Chinese best friends jumping into a room screaming, "Hey everybody, I'm under 21." Nobody cares, okay? Nobody cares, and don't be weird. Because when I was under 21 years old, I would read books and not scream to the author, "Hi author, I'm under 21 years old," right? With us saying, what if we had our first Chinese friend? That's popular and unsaid. You can talk about how one ethnicity bad. You can talk about one ethnicity fatigue. But if you forgot about the hidden ethnicity who's the number one most American in America, then you'd be saying, hey, why don't I have one Chinese friend? Forget about having Larry Chang be your best friend. Why don't you have one Chinese friend? Because then all these 35 truths wouldn't exactly all be known to you, because I haven't said them yet. I've only said 8. Then these truths would be, truthful, useful. What's useful and truthful and useful? Because I've said a lot, but I haven't said anything yet. Dichotic listening. Dichotic like dichotomy. Dialogue like two. But what happens when you do dichotic listening? It's spliced dichotomous listening. The reason this is useful on 10 levels is because I went ahead and scripted out a prescription for loneliness. Why? Because there's a book about loneliness. The entire book never solves, hey, how to no longer be lonely. So we're going to delve into dichotic listening, while people, you saw it spike up to multiple viewers. What's left are the people that are going to benefit from my having spent nearly 20 hours doing this research. Good job focusing. You're about to get a ginormous payoff. Dichotic listening on YouTube is where you can't pay attention for longer than 3 minutes. That's dichotic listening. Dichotic listening is also literally trying to listen to 2 things at one time. The reason that causes loneliness is that your brain begins to get mentored by gay and retarded. That's your brain listening to the prior trauma, listening to us, listening to us get educated via a book on loneliness. Dichotic listening, exercise listening on hard mode. Number 2, when you exercise listening on hard mode, you see errors, problems, and opportunity. Because when you're listening on hard mode, the the exercise is realizing that listening could be hard, but it's only hard when you're guessing that you're not going to agree with what gets said. Let me repeat that to emphasize. It's easy to listen to things that we agree with, that we kind of can meld with and vibe with. That's listening on easy mode, which is why we might have certain content creators where it's brain rot 6 7. We already know what's going to be said, and maybe once every 15 minutes there's something that causes us to catalyze. By point number 2 of dichotic listening under what they don't teach you in school is exercising listening on hard mode. Since I referred school, this is where at school we listen to the most boring high school teacher, college teacher that we have. But we don't listen like, oh my God, this is so boring. We listen by saying, oh my God, how are you able to be this boring? How are you able to present content with such little enthusiasm? Do you even believe in what you're saying? Do you have any enthusiasm for you even possessing this knowledge? That's dichotic unlistening, where you fold yourself into listening twice. One, as the student who's forced to sit there, right? The second person is also yourself asking the time compression question of, hey, how in the world are you this bad at what you do? I'm fascinated. By folding yourself in, you're manipulating your own nervous system to truly be there and truly listen. And when you manipulate yourself, you are motivationally listening. If you want to have viral content, you publish or speak a piece aloud called motivational speaking. Motivational listening is way, way, way less popular, which is why we're doing the 35 unpopular truths via this YouTube video. Unpopular truth, dichotomy. When you're half listening and diversifying your attention as you live in a DEI economy, are you going to be actively taking notes, asking, hey, how can I make $250 before the end of this video? You're not. You're just trying to evaluate and mitigate. You're not trying to ROI. That's dichotomy. Is 1.1.5% a smidgen of the entire YouTube community makes 99% of the money. Does that sound fair to you? Does that sound fair to you? It should be everybody making an equal amount. But Larry, what's the unpopularity of the fact that 0.2% of the people on this YouTube community make 99.5% of the money? How does that math work? That's YouTube. That's YouTube's unpopular truth, is that 80 content creators make nearly 100% of YouTube's dispensed money. It just seems like it's 20% of the people making 80% of the money. Nowhere near true. It's completely centralized. That's dichotomy where the average user is not getting ROI. How popular of a truth has that been? Have you ever heard anyone talk about this? This is why it's Larry Chang, me, hi, telling you 35 incredibly unpopular truths. We're delving deep into dichotic listening. Uniform listening is where you bond to the speaker even if the speaker is smarter than you, less interesting than you, monotonously talking. This is like that movie that was a book called Ender's Game. Do you want to understand how a bug thinks? Because the battle was against bugs who are trying to go from planet to planet. This little kid, his name is Ender Wiggins, he was the only person who mind melded with these bugs. How does this apply to uniform listening? The way that he ended up winning was loving his enemy, becoming uniform with their thinking, and therefore figuring out how to win. Becoming uniform is also what fortune tellers do in reading your fortune, is they figure you out in a hurry. How? They don't do dichotic listening, they do uniform listening. Next, chapter 4, networking loneliness. So, these are all dichotic listening from a concept of a book called Loneliness. When there's cooperation, there's inherently less loneliness. Where what are we never coached on is rugged individualism. You see, the reason that dichotic listening happens with doom scrolling is rugged individualism isn't necessarily sold to you or explained to you. It just happens to you. What is rugged individualism? It is capitalism. It is how humans get better. Is you're an individual, you're facing particular challenges. When it's rugged individualism, networking, what if somebody were to come up with this theorem, not theory, not a conspiracy theory, which is rugged individualism, the war on the middle class. Rugged individualism for everybody in the middle class, but the higher class and the lower class are functioning under government support, aka socialism. So let me get this straight. People in the middle class, they have to face hyperinflation, which we're in right now. Let me get this straight. So within rugged individualism, we're feeling more lonely and lonely by design? Absolutely. That's dichotic listening where you now get that, oh, is this rugged individualism, or is this a system that naturally occurs when money begins to have an extinction burst, which is Web 4, fiat striking back. Is fiat currently fucking you in the ass right now? You tell me. Rugged individualism, can you get better hour to hour even though the rules are completely unfair? Because once you accept that, yeah, there's a overt war being waged on us in the middle class. Taxes are theft. Hecklefish off camera. If you want, I can bring him on camera because this video, it's rocking. What are we doing? We're not even just warming up. We're focused on 35 unpopular truths under a channel called What They Don't Teach You in School. Let's go. Oh, childhood trauma. Earlier, gay and retarded. This is us talking about the universal and the particular within child trauma. Within psychology, there's this joke saying, we only use 20% of our brain. This is true and demoralizing. This is true and demoralizing. But here's something even more demoralizing, which should empower you. And that is this. By journaling and reactivating portions of our brain that have been turned off, we can achieve slightly better results. Notice how I wanted to say we can achieve amazing results, but that's time preference, where the trauma caused a paralysis, where the way to get out of paralysis is not to go from 0 to 1, mentored by a person who also has childhood trauma, Peter Thiel. Mood regulation within childhood trauma, it becomes incredibly difficult to regulate mood. Then emotional burdens dovetails perfectly from mood regulation, and then perception changes. That's within chapter 5 of the loneliness book. Chapter 6, wear and tear as we age. The unpopular truth of wear and tear is that you don't have to go through tear and wear. But if your butthole's been going through wear and tear, now your brain is traumatized. How do we solve this? Unfortunately, we're going to have to forgive that person. The reason I wince is I kind of want to kill them with you. You and me, we go kill them. But that's not what we want to do, because that is where we have to dig 2 graves. Revenge. Confucius. Sun Tzu. That kind of revenge is going to cause us to have to dig 2 graves. So, that's why we transition. Nyla Thompson says, I use 10% of my brain. We are going to now use 10.2% of our brain before the end of this video. We don't want to do that. We want to use 10.1% of our brain in the next 2 bullet points. OMG, your comment is perfect. Plus, we have one-on-one time. Yay is right, Nyla. Yay is right. So, 10.1% wear and tear. When we are open to the fact that, yeah, we had childhood trauma, now our brain wears and tears in a accelerated aging accelerated. How do we slow down the aging, slowing down the wear and tear of our brain? And that is using our brain as a healing center. Let me recap that because that was a ginormous nugget. Good job letting me know that you are on point with this point. The wear and tear that's from childhood trauma, that's generated from your brain. And I'm not going to quote Busy Gold, Bizzie, Gold, Gold, where your brain is a filthy liar. It's not, it is true, but that brain is lying to you initially to protect you. This is how we're going from using 10% of our brain to using 10.1% of our brain. Because we're going to be able to figure out before the end of these 3 bullet points, way before this video ends, which is how to run our brain slightly better. Why has our brain been run like this up till now? And pruning away our old self. Our old self used to be 10% brain operation. Our new self is going to be, Nyla, 10.1%. That would be chapter 11 of breaking the habit of being ourselves, pruning away our old selves. You see, when we have wear and tear, that's because our brain is always on beta brainwave mode. What is beta brainwaves? What are beta brainwaves? It's beta alpha, theta delta. When the childhood trauma triggers or gets remembered or inherently is there, we more easily access beta brainwaves because it's the fight or flight mode of your brain. So when you say you're using 10% of your brain, it's because 90% of your brain is trying to deal with a past thing that was so hurtful that it's trying to use all of its brain cycles. You see, your brain's not exactly a filthy liar, but your brain doesn't comprehend time the way that we optimally could be experiencing time. Hi, everybody. It's me, Larry Chang. Maybe this is your first YouTube video with Larry Chang. Maybe this is your first YouTube video ever because you came to it from off of YouTube. My channel's on what they don't teach you in school, and what we're exploring mentally is dichotic listening. This content is different from everyone else's content. Why? Because it's unpopular. That's why the title of the video is 35 Unpopular Truths. Is this video to go viral? Meaning 50,000 views. I don't care. I want it to go from 10% of your brain to 10.1% of your brain. Because when you go from 10% of your brain to 15% of your brain used, your life is going to be dramatically, amazingly different. Now, I could have said better because that would be assumed. But what we want to do before this video even ends is alter our world. Step 1. Screenshotting this to come back to later is good. So thank you for screenshotting. the most useful thing you can do to rewire your brain to enter the present and get into theta brainwaving is this. Pick up a crayon of your kids or a pencil or a pen. Maybe it's your favorite pen. Maybe your favorite pen is upstairs or in the basement. Pick up some writing utensil and some piece of paper. Doesn't need to be perfect. It could be the back of a credit card bill that has not yet opened. So, comment paper when you found something to write on, because this video is going to become the most valuable video that you've ever stumbled across. And that's when a Chinese person talks that much trash. That's not unbased trash talk. That's real talk. So comment paper when you have paper. Waiting on you. Waiting on you. Comment paper when you have paper. Dichotic listening. Limitless chapter 44. Oh. So, this isn't your stuff. This is my script. But as soon as you comment paper, I'm going to give you your sequence of nuggets. Oh my God. We went from dichotic listening to dichotic delivery of choose your own adventure. I'm not going to customize your paper until you have paper. Oh, good job. Now I'm going to do the magic trick of dichotic dialogue molded into what the script is, which is this. 3 bullet points. What you're doing is something that is hidden, but now you'll understand everything. Have you heard this truth that people who play Dungeons and Dragons when they're kids, they all become rich? Why? It's because there's a skill that you learn in Dungeons and Dragons, which we're going to do, which is the dungeon master has a map, and they're talking you through where you're going in the dungeon, and you have to map it. So there's 2 people using a map. The dungeon master who created the map, or reading from a map because they're too lazy to create a map, and they bought something called a module. What is a module? It's a map with description. As a player, you have to map where you're going. Why does this turn into shit tons of money? Because software needed a map. Everybody needs a map. This video, it's mapped out right now. This is the map. Is it complicated? No. Is it complicated? Yeah, but it's way less complicated. Look. Creativity, productivity, performance, focus. Oh, ROI. Oh, understanding when money dies. And understanding that, oh my God, is that a kitty cat on your lap? Is that a kitty? Technically, it's a Shih Tzu. So what we're doing is we're coming up with little things that you could interact with, like Pokemon. Like life is a video game, but this video game is impossible to play because if you're not mapping where you're going, you're totally lost. Larry, I just hear a bunch of words. I'm totally lost. In a complicated world, it's unpopular to explain things. That's why I bullet pointed 35 Unpopular Truths, your life would have been much better had you spent 8 years playing Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not going to say go back and spend 8 years playing Dungeons and Dragons, but what I am going to say is let's get the skill of having played, which is mapping. Good job saying good job, good job. No, the Pokemon is right here. So you're maybe distracted, or you're only listening on audio, or you're a robot where you are NPCing the audio only and not seeing the video feed. And that's okay. Robots can robots can robots can be people too? Question mark. Dichotic listening, which is defined as this: splitting off half of your brain onto two screens. The second screen is causing people to be remedial. The second voice, in addition to this voice, is what's causing something called dichotic listening. So the Pokemon is right here because it's activating the fact that Unpopular Truth, within my video title called 35 Unpopular Truths, in the next single digit number of minutes, a jaw dropping tirade of knowledge nuggets. Wear and tear, number one. Number 8 on my list, number 1 for you. Your brain can actually repair nearly anything. It can produce chemical that drug companies sell you, including testosterone. Wear and tear is where your brain doesn't repair. Why? Because your brain has some kind of distraction. That distraction leads to your not sleeping well. And what then occurs is your brain turning from an amazing computing machine that helps you heal to a version of that. That's why so far in your notes, we're going from 10% operability to 10.1% operability. So if you got confused there, let's do this. On your pad of notes, we're going to write beta, alpha, theta, delta. So these are your brain waves, and this is right out of page 37 of this book, Huna. So it's beta, alpha, theta, delta. And these are the 3 versions of your mind. It's conscious mind, unconscious mind, and higher conscious mind. That's okay. Good job focusing for a few moments. I'm glad that you stopped by. With beta, alpha, theta, delta waves, which is beta brain waves are where you do what? You get caught focusing on what immediately is in front of you is going to harm you. That's where your brain gets stuck literally in a doom loop. Theta is your brain on flow mode, where similar to why some people think that this video is done while I'm drunk because I'm seemingly so in flow, happy, and energized. That's where you're a little more active on the keyboard, where because you're so active on the keyboard, I'm going to guess that your paper notes are blank, because I can picture you not having beta, alpha, theta, delta brainwaves written down on your piece of paper, because Bluebee has chimed in by saying, being upside down 6 feet in the air with my only strength to hold onto gym rings and feel my hands slipping is such an experience. So, what we're revealing here is that it's flow mode of exercise. So, there's a thing called a walking meditation. That's why Steve Jobs would do meetings on a walk. That's why our brain works great when we, in the morning before our sunrise video, go outside and walk around. That's a walking meditation. What Bluebee's talking about is next level, which is triggering the brain to have an athletic meditation. So, in an athletic meditation, it's like a seated meditation where athletes in peak performance will use words such as, everything slowed down for me, or it was like I was in a slow motion movie during peak performance. And so what you're doing is you're in a seated meditation, you're still, and this is the opposite of dichotic listening. This is uniform listening, where everything makes sense to you. Let me repeat. Being upside down 6 feet in the air with my only strength to with only my strength to hold onto gym rings and feel my hands slipping is such an experience. What's going on is this. What's going on is this. An athlete in flow mode, where it's seated meditation, standing meditation, athletic meditation, where just like third party dissonance, we are able to see our own body performing third party perspective. Remember, what we're talking about here is dichotic listening. What we're doing now within a flow meditation, walking meditation, is split dissociative, where we're going from outside of our body to see our body. So if we were in a video game, we're the player character, we are also the person holding the controller. So in essence, we just doubled ourselves using third-party perspective. Did I just go into Maxwell Maltz psychocybernetics while unpopular experience, which is dichotic listening, while explaining split dissociative. Yes, yes, yes. Why? Because this video is called 35 Unpopular Truths. Because there's this book, Loneliness. Chapter 6 is Wear and Tear. Chapter 10 is Adulthood Demands Emotional Mastery. Yet, Chapter 5 talks about childhood trauma, problem, not solved. That's what this video strived to solve, because 80% of these solutions got solved using this video in under 40 minutes. Within loneliness, being able to listen better, because people who are lonely are horrible listeners. And then there's a doom loop of people don't want to spend time with you because you can't listen and your brain gets broken. It's called dichotic listening, and I didn't have my finger on why certain people couldn't hear. Oh, it's my childhood trauma. Okay, chapter 5 solved it and this video. Oh, I don't sleep super well, but they don't say it. They just say chapter 6, wear and tear, my age. Or they get their brain stuck on age. You saw earlier someone come in and talk about their age in a, I can't listen, but I'm going to type a bunch of stuff. I'm like, is this a robot? Oh no, it wasn't. Chapter 6 of a book that you don't even need to read, called Loneliness, is solved using something called cheerleading. It's not that I like blonde cheerleaders who are super positive and are studying engineering. I'm talking about cheerleading in a, can you cheer for a person who's trying to help you? Or do you have the, not selfish gene, but do you have the broken brain of, this person doesn't care about me, this person is bad, even in the face of the fact that the first 47 minutes of this video has been intensely knowledge nugget dispensing, which is cheerleading. Nugget number now. When you can't cheer for somebody cheering for you, your brain is wired to be like that broken little being, like a cat, and now you're a feral cat that can't realize that the humans, they're not going to eat you. They just want to give you a good home and maybe pet you. You can't purr. You're a broken kitty because something traumatized you. How does this apply to this video? You're the kitty who's feral. If you can't help the human who's trying to give you a good home and feed you, now you understand that when you can't cheer for a person who's positive, you've got some kind of darkness that is infused. What does this dark energy want you to do? It wants you to never cheer for people. It definitely doesn't want you to cheer for yourself. This is 35 Unpopular Truths. Have you ever cheered or even liked or even said, yay, I'm happy that you were able to afford a brand new Hyundai? Congratulations, you have a new Hyundai. Congratulations, you have my dream car, a brand new Honda Civic. Or me in my car. Oh, that car is so you, Larry. What? Why can't you just say, I'm happy that you have your big boy car? Why can't you be happy for me? That's cheerleading. Or you seeing that I'm spending $2,000 to go to a baseball game, and I post it on social media, and people who are not cheering won't like it. This is why there's an epidemic of loneliness, where we're all angry that other people are on vacation. Like, why can't you vicariously experience their vacation? Because I've been on those trips. It's kind of difficult to get there. They had to spend 4 days just to get that perfect selfie. It's not a fake selfie. It's something they had to work for. Just like me having to work brushing my blonde dog. Brady, you're welcome, okay? You're gonna be so fluffy. Why can't you be happy for me in the fact that I just brushed this this puppy fluffers? Hey, Larry, I'm cheering for you because it looks like you do such a good job keeping your kitty fluffy. Because remember, if you're calling your dog a lion dog, you own a cat. Cheerleading, where when we stop cheering for people that are 2 steps in front of us, we're gonna be stuck at our current level. Is it easy to complain about things that we wish were better? Yes. Is it easy to be stuck? I argue that there's a psychological operation that is engineered for us to suffer and be stuck. Is this unpopular? No. It's hyper popular. Maybe my style isn't perfect. But guess what? Getting this knowledge out there, uncurated and raw, that's just the methodology. Why? Because stuff is changing so fast that this video will be out of date by the year 2040. Why? Because right now it's the 20s, and the 1920s look a lot like the 2020s, look a lot like the Roman Empire, which is this insight. Leroy Jenkins, congratulations, you're gonna be rich. Ron Lothar says, hola. How are you guys? Right on cue, Larry, how do I use Web 12? Leroy, how many minutes have you been listening? Because I'm going to hammer the next 9 minutes. How long have you been listening? Let's assume that you're dichotomously listening because you haven't answered the question. So I'll say that I'll say that you've done 3 minutes. Thank you. So we're going to Web 12 in reverse chronological order. You're ready. Everyone's ready. Television used to be a treat. Now we just YouTube. I'm going to adjust the sound quality as you are going to grab a pen. I grab a pen. You grab a pen. I'm adjusting the sound. It's about to be magical, Magical, magical. For the editing room. Reverse chronological, forward chronological. Let's effing go. A stellar question. Larry, I need to start seeing results. I'm getting a solid pump in the gym. Good job. Getting my money up with boba, but still doesn't feel like it's enough. How do I web 12? Answer, dichotic listening on 11 levels in 8 minutes. What is dichotic listening? It's not solo listening. That's boba tea. So you're going to be taking these 11 bullet points with selling one boba tea for, was it $25 or $45? Some exorbitant amount because the boba tea itself is $8. That's dichotic listening, bullet point number 1, which is, where is it worth $45? That's bullet point number 1. Hopefully you're scribbling furiously because we're on to bullet point number 2. 35 unpopular truths. Where are you getting this from, Larry? I'm getting it from this transcription, because what Web 12 is for dichotic listening is not me screaming into an echo chamber. The echo chamber is a monetary bounce, meaning this is valuable shiitake. Who's going to pay for it? I'm not having you pay for it. I'm having you knowledge activate technical content that the Oriental Cowboy ginned out for you to sell a boba tea for $20. The reason that the boba tea for $20 is going to be so dramatic, I would sell it for $45, but that's just me. I can sell expensive shiitake in the real world that doesn't cost me very much money. But that's just me. You should just turn one profit. Why? Dichotic listening, bullet point number 3. This will be the first time you've taken one video and made $8. Oh, but other YouTube influencers, they promised me to make $1 billion or $1 million. This is dichotomously true, which is solo true. There's never been a content creator or a person who is like me. True. I've made more millionaires in ride shares where the driver in 5 minutes of meeting me later becomes a millionaire. I'm talking about me in comparison to venture capital firms in Silicon Valley that have hundreds of millions of dollars each. I have made more millionaires with my brain and my mouth in an Uber Lyft than all the venture firms combined times 5. Let me repeat that. You're a Lyft driver, you only get to talk to me for 8 minutes. Why is millionaire right around the corner? Because those 8 minutes are the most impactful for that Lyft driver. Why? Because I'm in your car and I understand who you are. And then you now, because your car is semi-clean and because you put pen to paper, you in a Lyft environment, you've never gotten a tip that was $100. And I'm not talking about me pulling out a Benjamin Franklin in big ball or going, here's a $100 tip for you, buddy. Don't forget who Larry Chang is. the tip that you get is dependent on how well you listen. This is why we're going to pretend like you're my Lyft Uber driver and I have to read where you are right now to get you to where you're going. That in and of itself right there is boba tea for $30. Because what? You can sit in a Lyft and help the driver make $1 million, and you've not only done it a couple of times, you can do it on repeat. How? Well, I'm going to replicate that genius here. The problem with most people's effort to make money is they can't see that selling one boba tea for $25 and then go buy it for $8, they don't see that that's a success. They then say, oh, what's next? What do I do after that? Well, have you done that once? No. What do I do after that? That's why it's not procrastination, which is childhood trauma, procrastination. It's not laziness, it's low EQ and not understanding how money works, which is money at the $1 million level. It's actually so easy because the first 10, those are the hard ones. The first one is nearly impossible, which is, can you sell one boba tea for $25? So you go into a semi-affluent area, and Silicon Valley was all affluent. That's why this worked every time, 90% of the time. You're doing this, which, say thank you, you're doing chapter 24 of a book that only has 19 chapters. Done. 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 Why am I so happy with myself? Because this is dichotic listening for you, Leroy James. What is chapter 24? Chapter 24 is what you're doing, which is, Larry, how do I use Web 12? Web 12 is AI for retards or using AI to sell a boba tea for $25, which is chapter 24 of a book with only 19 chapters. So basically, you're selling a boba tea for $45 that includes a free book called Limitless, and then a bonus chapter called, what's the bonus chapter that you wrote down? You don't want to analyze what I'm saying. You want to write it down like you're hearing a complex Chinese recipe. Like, you can't eat the food, try the food, judge the recipe. Oh, I'm not going to put hoisin sauce in. What? Or you're going to no longer dichotically listen. What was the number? What was the chapter number that I said? Because, yeah, dichotic, which is like dialogue, where, have you ever talked to a fat girl who's not hot? She's constantly interrupting you. Why? Because her brain's broken. Why? Because she thinks this monologue is a dialogue. Like, how can you even talk? I was going to say something hilarious. With your mouth full. See? Dropping jokes with dichotic listening. So we're solo listening. Leroy Jenkins, what was the chapter number that I said? Not continuing until not continuing. Remember, we're doing Web 12. As we meditate and let people catch up. My channel's on what they don't teach you in school. This is Brady. He's been saying, Dad, I'm hot. Good job, Duck D's. This is why it's helpful to go in a group. Chapter 24 of a 19-chapter book is Leroy Jenkins, Duck D's, is now moderating you, which is chapter 24 of a 19-chapter book. Why is chapter 24 important? It's important because Jim Quick, he left off content, which is what Leroy's question was. What about chapter 24 in a 19-chapter book? Nyla Thompson also is back. Good job. We're doing something magical. Read the pinned tweet, the pinned message. Pin, which is, how can we use this content to financially benefit? Boba tea. Boba tea is sold in a boba restaurant for $8. We're selling it for $45. These numbers are exact using 24. 8, 45, 24, turbo hike. That's me quarterbacking your bank account. That's me as a 6'5" dude who can throw a ball 30 yards accurately, 55 yards completely inaccurately, throwing a baseball out of the stadium, quarterbacking. Getting demoralized by your dichotic listening and your dichotic talking. Dichotic. Wear and tear on your brain. In the same way that Duck D's had to chime in from Leroy Jenkins not mind melding the chapter number. Leroy, what chapter number are we doing? What chapter number are we doing? LJ, come on. What chapter number are we doing? We're doing Web 12. Yeah, 24. See? That's why Web 12 works for you, because you got that wrong, and that's a problem. It's 24. Duck D's, DD was on it, which is chapter 24, which is chapter 24 in a 19-chapter book. So if you're confused, my channel's on what they don't teach you in school. There's a book that has 19 chapters. If you had AI available to you for $200 a month, you would ask yourself, hey, how do I make that money back? We're making that money back before this video ends. Drinking green tea, which is page 344. The boba tea, green tea, page 344. $8, $45. Calculate the profit. Turbo hike. We're using AI to, yes, high on green tea. We're using AI, Asian intelligence, American intelligence, American guy intelligence, AI, AGI, to come up with chapter 24 before Jim Quick writes an expanded version to his chapters 1 through 14. Chapters 1 through 14. Expanded version, chapters 1 through 19. What is chapter 19? Technically, it's Web 12, which is how to use AI for increasing critical thinking. Why is chapter 24 beneficial? Because Jim Quick's book's got a problem. I don't know the steps towards a new destiny. You don't necessarily want to do a practice quiz for chapter 24, but since you asked, hey Larry, can I get a practice quiz for chapter 24? I can. It's chapter 19 of breaking the habit of being yourself. So, quiz question. Chapters 6, 7, and 8, not from Limitless, but from Joe Dispenza's Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Do you see how this is not a three-way of me and two hot girls? This is a three-way for me and two authors, because this video is called 35 Unpopular Truths. What's the three-way of authors to sell boba tea for 45 bucks? It's chapter 24, Limitless. It's Jim Quick's book, combined with Joe Dispenza's book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. You wanted a quiz. Chapters 1 through 5 is the science of you. Because I know this is going to come across really creepy, but I can see from your camera that's turned on that you've taken 0 notes. LJ, true or not true? You've taken no notes. You haven't even written down 24. I can't see through the camera, but I can see that you've taken no notes. LJ, why have you taken no notes? It's because your initial question, how do I use Web 12? That question was inaccurate, because what you're doing is you're saying something that's smartass, which is, Larry, this is my 13th or 20th Larry Chang video. Web 12 is genius as fuck, but I don't want to use it to make a $31 profit. Can you show me how to make millions of dollars? How many notes have you taken up till now? Why can't you just say, Larry, you're right, I took no notes? Why can't you say that? Because that's what you said. I am solo listening. Somehow I'm listening to you in a monologue. Mike, making stuff. First time here. You just saw something genius, Mike, which is, I'm taking notes now. Why did you not take notes initially when you said paper? And how much of the information have you lost? Duck D's is spot on. Duck D's, are you still here? DD? Benji says, good morning. Can I donate? Yes. You can donate your mental attention to this topic. We're talking about boba tea. Larry, you taught me what non-sequencer means. I don't know if I know what non-sequencer means. Let's go. Let's go. You know who's going to be the winner in this? Is the new guy. Mike is making stuff. Larry, tell me about your channel, if I can ask. I bet you can guess what my channel is about. Haha. Oh, Mike, this is going to be the most amazing recap. Oh my God. I love you guys. I'm going to rank Leroy solidly number 4 when he should be number one. So my channel's on What They Don't Teach You in School, and this genius snippet is Larry Chang, me, making Leroy Jenkins $45 minus $9. So $36. Where is this $36 coming from? Is Larry is making money for LJ. That's what we're doing. Oh my God. Mike, say you're welcome or say thank you. See, I'm getting my thank you and my you're welcome mixed up because I'm thankful for you. I make things from discarded stuff for resale and personal use. Thank you. Thank you. Because something discarded is people's attention. Something discarded is a boba. See, what we're doing is we're DJing remnant things, such as a library book, such as an unread business nonfiction book. And we're using Web 12, which is Leroy's question, which is, Larry, I just got back from a pump. I want to make some amazing shit happen. The new pinned message. Good job. Bing. If anyone needs notes on this, I'm selling them for $48. Abso-fucking-lutely. But we don't want to sell to each other. That would be a ladder trade. What's a ladder trade? Is where we are bullshit financial engineers where we sell shit to each other just to artificially boost the price. We're selling genius shit to other people. What is genius shit? What am I even talking about? I'm talking about what Leroy talked about 3 comments ago, which is, what if this weren't just a monologue from Larry Chang, the Chinese cowboy? What if this also incorporated Jim Quick and Joe Dispenza with 2 books under $20? Can you take a library book or a super cheap book and use it to springboard by calling out play call plays? 344. 344 is L-theanine, green tea, page 344 of Limitless. 344. 845. Turbo hike. That's a play call play where we're adding in chapter 24 to a book that only has 19 chapters. Rich people, they need future information today. Rich people, they make money doing bullshit things and they keep on making money. Middle class, how do we make money? We're currently getting ass fucked because this is true. There's a secret war on the middle class. Is this rugged individualism right out of chapter 4? It is. Did I cheat? Yeah, but you know what? Taking notes, that's not cheating, bitches. Taking notes, that's not cheating. It's winning, which is why if you don't have notes, fuck yourself in the fucking face. Oh my God. This should be how I do my videos right now. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is how we're doing videos right now. How Web 12 am I? How Web 12 am I right now? Crossing streams. Showing notes. So the reason I'm so excited is You've never taken paper notes before. Look, creativity, productivity, performance. Look, creativity, productivity, performance, focus. You've never taken notes before. You've never asked yourself on a free video, hey, can I make $38, $36? Can I make $36 from not didactic learning, solactic learning, which is asking yourself one thing. Mike, this is perfect. You don't want to have a boba tea. You want to go to the boba tea place and then turn other people's trash into treasure. Mike, less on what you used to do, more on DJing 2 boba balls into $36. Because when you do this exercise, you will be the number one thing ever. Why? Because you are doing something that I inherently understand, which is I passed lessons from my grandparents and great-grandparents taught me. They grew up in the Dust Bowl, the Depression. Mike, we're in a motherfucking depression right now. Let's focus. Leroy, I don't think you've got any platform when Mike's notes are 5 times bigger than your notes. And his mentor mentions, which is, hey, why am I so amazing? It's because I got mentored from people that survived a depression. Because we're in a Great Depression right now, bitches. We're in a Great Depression right now. Let's succeed rubbing 2 boba balls together. Chapter 24. So we could say the loser thing of AI, it's a bubble. Or we can say, oh my God, Web 12, I thought you were fucking joking. Because Web 12 is hilarious. Oh, it's hilarious, but it's also more real than anything you'll ever see ever, anywhere. That's not a black or white person talking trash. That's Larry Chang helping Startup Lessons Learned. Eric Ries. Right there, that book. The camera's been focused in the wrong direction. Okay. So, Boba T, LJ, dichotic listening. Let's come up with a path. Mike, you are number 1. I need you to focus so that way other people can draft behind you, because you're going to piss some people off because new guy is going to be ruling our little clan. So, clan or Oriental Cowboy Mafia, which I've never called it that before. Cowboy Mafia, honorary Chinese people, or most American thing that we've ever talked about, which is Web 12. AI, American intelligence. Let's focus. Good job, Bing. I love the mentor mentions. What we're selling to only blonde women. Larry, are you joking? Oh, I am so not fucking around by fucking making money. Boba tea, selling them for $45. I know this is going to work because I've done this 100 times, which is you want to sell super expensive shit to rich people who are hot. Don't try this. Don't try to cold open ugly women who are ugly, okay? Like, they're angry at God for their fat gene. There's no such thing as a fat gene, okay? There's a hot person somewhere under there. It's just your feminist mask and your extra 80 pounds is making you ugly. This is another video which you can also make money on, which is K-shaped networking. It's going from the low end to the high end. This is what I'm talking about. Hot women who are daddy's money, they're more likely to make money in this Great Depression. Why? Because, like the Roman Empire, this is currently best of times, worst of times. So, Mike, you're going to ace this because this is literally right up your alley, but you've got to focus instead of bragging your Caucasian trash talk, because you're going to be selling her book back to her because she already owns a Joe Dispenza book. Can you focus your brain and realize that we're mind melding your ability to edit? Creativity, productivity, performance, focus. And that is this. Only selling to blondes taller than 5'10". LJ, that includes you, all of us. What we're going to do is K-shaped networking, which is rich people are willing to pay $3 million to solve their $8 million problem. It is right now impossible to make money off of poor people, aka the middle class. Why? Because people in the middle class cannot spend $9 for a $20 bill because, one, cash flow, two, financial engineering, three, you guys can't make $36 on a $0 YouTube. Other people can't make $200 on a free AI account. Other people can't go to the library and make $180 million. You can complain about DEI shit and woke shit, but here's the problem, is that some Chinese dude in the 90s and 80s and Indian people, if they're even Asian, went to the library, taught themselves how to do shit, and skipped Stanford engineering. Mike, you are spot on. Let's focus on helping the retards ship and sell one thing. And by you performing this exercise, Mike, you're going to understand what Leroy understands, which is Web 12. What Leroy's talking about is Web 4. So, Mike saying, my grandpa said no matter what a dollar's worth, a wagon is worth two horses. This is Web 12. This is Web 5. This is Web 4. Is that $450? It is. Let me repeat that so that way you can write down those numbers, which is one wagon, two horses. That's Web 5. Because the value is infinity divided by 21 million. Web 4 is Leroy Jenkins, money is fiat, only silver and gold have value. That's borderline Web 4, which is fiat striking back. So, Leroy and Mike and mules. So, instead of joking about mules, which donkeys are amazing, let's map out. Leroy, tell me what you last wrote down versus typed out. Did you get the portion about Web 12, Web 5, Web 4? This is not dichotic listening. This is dichotic entrepreneurship. And I am solopatic entrepreneurship, which is why I can sit in an Uber and drive them towards a millionaire as they drive me towards my super douchey party that I'm late for, because I will sit in an Uber and explain to them shit that they already know. Now it's directed, like I'm doing for Mike and Leroy and DD. Yeah. So you missed it, so I'll tell it to you. Fucking write it fucking down, which is Web 12, Web 5, Web 4. Leroy, do you remember your focus? Because you're like, hey, I just got back from a pump from the gym. Let's boba tea up some Web 12 money. This is your second thing after you sell one chapter for. I just picked my nose. I just picked my nose off camera, on camera. Web 12, Web 5, Web 4. That's video 2. That's boba tea 2. So let's make it not confusing. Boba tea, chapter 24. Leroy, since you're driving and moderating this bus towards kind of a shit ton of money, what do you want to sell after boba tea? What do you want to sell after boba tea? Do you want to sell a book? Mike wants to sell a book. Mike, what book do you own that's a business book that you've read or own but not used, or own but haven't read? Or do you not like books? And that's why you're poor, because you want to sell stocks. That's why you're poor. Thank you. That's why you're poor. Is no. No. My God. Can you see how I'm going to drag you kicking and screaming across the $600,000 line? Kicking and screaming. And then when you say gay retarded shit, I'm going to tell you selling stocks is gay and retarded. This is your brain. This is your brain stuck on. This is your brain. I'm not going to get demoralized. Mike, you and I are going to make you even richer than you are right now. What is your favorite book on entrepreneurship in your library? Everybody pay attention to what Mike is saying, so that way we can use this video as a springboard. What is your favorite book in your library? LJ is getting demoralized because he wanted to go right to millionaire by wanting to sell stocks. Nice. Are you Mormon? It's cool if you're not, but just wondering because you sound Mormon. Why Mormon? Because Stephen Covey's book is our Christian money-making Bible. So let's DJ Proactivity, 7 Habits, Quadrant 2, Stephen Covey. Now, okay, let's do Quadrant 2. LJ, are you still with us on Boba? Because we're going from Boba to Quadrant 2. Mike, what should Leroy Jenkins sell after he sells one Boba for $45? Mike, what should Leroy sell? What should Leroy sell? What should Leroy sell after Boba? What should Leroy sell after Boba? Because he's got to figure out what to sell. Because he wanted to sell stocks. Fuck me. I want to sell stocks. Are you high? I want to sell stocks. I want to die. I literally want to die. I want to sell stocks. What are you, a stockbroker? Are you a financial advisor? None of those dudes are rich. They're all poor. Brady, somebody wanted to sell stocks after they 10x. We're in a depression. The stock market's fake. Web 4. After that, I'm going to have to pop a coconut water, non-sponsored. Mike, we are kindred. We are absolutely kindred because my channel, the business model is based on Alexander Ostrander business model generation, where I make a stupid amount of money doing YouTube videos where it's 19 for the community and then 1 for me. Does that make sense? Where this is a community video because I will never make money off of this. But the one video that is for me only delves into credit and risk mitigation for institutional credit underwriters. Alexander Ostrander, business model generation. Will you help Leroy? What's number 2? What is number 2? What's the second thing that Leroy's going to sell? He wanted to sell stocks. First thing he sells. So what if he's aggressive and opinionated and has a judgy tone? That's what you want. He's kind of selling on this thing where he won't answer, hey, what do we sell after boba? Mike won't answer. Uh-oh. Mike's first non-good thing. After the boba, you sell how to make boba. Mike just told me how much money he has in his bank account. Because up till now, I was thinking Mike's current bank account is... Mike, do I have consent to guess how much money you have and will have? You know what? Let's just focus on Leroy's money and not focus on, oh my God, Larry's a fucking genius. But Mike, you did just tell me there how much money you have now and where you're going. Let's skip the how much money you have now and let's triple the how much money you're gonna have, because you slipped with something that you were talking. So everything that you had said before, which was genius, came from your grandparents, came from Stephen Covey, came from your library. What you said there was after boba, you sell how to make boba. That came from your brain because you were dichotically listening to, you're dichotically listening. Oh, everybody reveals where they're at. Who's watching this and not liking? Oh my God. So everybody reveals how much money they have accidentally, because this is day 4 of the 23 days. This is day 4 of the 26 days of OpenAI ducking bankruptcy. Is that we, using AI, all know how much everyone's worth because everybody reveals it by opening their mouth. Hey guys, what are you yapping about? I want to join. Zen on. You're going to love this. You'll never get to 1 mil because of how you ask questions. Because your brain, LJ, is wired to something new, something new, something new. Where you don't care about your Web 12 question as much as I do, because that's how your brain's wired. Is you're wired to make a mill and then lose it all buying shit stocks. The more money you get, the more money you realize it never really mattered to begin with. Mike, so spot on, dude. So spot on. Leroy, tell us what you wrote down, because every time you type something out, you're trying to unmake the money that we quarter made you. Green tea, baby. Green tea. Question, Larry, after I make my first million, should I go for 2 million or live in a cheaper country? Here's the answer. After you make your first million, which you're not going to make, you're going to lose it because you ask crappy questions. What are we doing? Now, Mike, restate what you said using Web 12, Web 5, Web 4 language because you get it, but I want you to truly get it. Dichotic delivery, which is LJ, after you sell boba, you're going to sell a book, which is the limitless book. In fact, you're going to do two things at one time because you're trying to make $1 million all at once. This is what we're doing. Zenon, my channel's on what they don't teach you in school. This is geniusly hilarious. Why? Because I sound like I'm joking. I am being 110% serious, being the Oriental cowboy, as we play a real life video game called Dichotic Listening at Boba Tea and a book. Score! Tray ball. So, is my dog impressed that I can shoot trash from across the room? No. My dog sees that I score it every time and I celebrate as if I'm surprised that I made it. What am I impressing myself with now? By helping LJ do two things at one time while he fixes his brain after a pump. LJ, good job sitting for this non abuse, sitting for this discipline. Mike, you're sounding like a robot with not being able to answer Web 5, Web 4, Web 12, but that's okay. LJ, the reason selling your first thing is so psycho is this will be the most valuable video that you've come across because you will now, after this hard video, do what Mike does, which is read a book, library it, and then reread a book to remake more money on quadrant 2. What we're doing here with your boba tea is you're becoming quadrant 2. You're finally doing something proactive. You've never done something proactive because the first thing you did when you got power was, I want to sell stocks. Because you're not looking for how to DJ existing shiitake. You're hoping for another Larry Chang video that gets you from $0 to $2 million. As smart as I am in Silicon Valley, being the third institution of Silicon Valley, going from $0 to $2 million, it's just not possible due to the three laws of thermodynamics. What is possible and highly probable is you can become one of the blonde billionaires that I met when you were just blonde and not a billionaire, which is, oh my God, I finally understand what Larry's thinking. This whole time I was listening to him, I was hoping he'd fuck me, but now I get it and I'm going to do it. Casey Cross. This is what happens. This is the switch that clicks is oh my God, OMG,
I just need to sell 10 things, starting with one thing. This makes me an expert in entrepreneurship, not because I want to talk trash and be like, oh, I'm number one in entrepreneurship education. What makes me number one, and this puts me in danger because I sound like a crazy person saying this, but I can defend it. This is what I'm talking about. Wealth has a dollar figure that is massively misunderstood. One person in this audience massively does understand it, but now is going to level up if their brain fixes. This dollar amount is $0. There is actually so much misinformation about the dollar amount of $0. Why? Because at the $0 level, there is such a gravitational pull that it's not 1G of gravity at $0. It's 1 million G. It's definitely 9G. What happens to your face at 7G? You're pretty much going to pass out because gravity's pulling on you so hard that your face is rippling. What is 7G? It's where you're going so fast in an airplane or a rocket that it feels like the Earth's gravity is 7, 6, 5, 9 times stronger than gravity. That's what happens at $0. Is it's not 1G. 1G is currently what you're feeling. At $0, it feels like it's 5G, which is gravity pulling you down, your brain as a horrible liar pulling you down. You get stuck at $0. Getting unstuck is the hardest thing for Y Combinator to do. It's the hardest thing for Stanford. Y Combinator, it's a business accelerator. They market themselves as more exclusive than Harvard, Stanford. They can't leave $0. Why did I become an institution of Silicon Valley? Because, like Mike taking trash and fixing it up and selling it back to them, that's what I would do with YC shit that they discarded. I would fix it up and then say, hey, I fixed your shit. I fixed your shit. That's $0. Where if you can somehow learn to leave $0, oh, but Larry, I'm going to raise $3 million. That keeps you even more stuck at $0. Oh, Larry, if my parents were rich, then I would be rich. No, no, that's also $0. Have you heard the first generation starts, the second generation makes the money, and the third generation loses all the money? Because if your parents are rich, all the money disappears within 3 generations. Is this me explaining generational wealth to Gary Tan, who heads up Y Combinator? Yes, because he was like, oh, I'm reading this book on generational wealth. I'm going to have 5 generations of money. Me speaking as a 5th generation of wealth, the reason that we've been able to put together 5 in a row is that my dad, Tom Chang, he decided to make me play the game on hard mode and lie to me about the fact that our family had any money. I self-funded college. I self-funded baseball, basketball, football. How do you self-fund those? My parents didn't even pay for camp for me to go to. Because I thought we were poor, I got rich. Why? Because I understood now that it's all about leaving $0. My uncle never was going to give me $1 million. In my family, nobody has ever asked me, as if I were in a black or white family, hey, Larry, I've got a business idea. Lend me $1 million? Think about that. Nobody in our family has ever asked another family member for $1 million. What happens when you make $1 million? All your retarded relatives are going to say, hey, LJ, you have $10 million. I read about it because you talked about it. Will you help me with my car wash idea or my auto detailing or my shoe repair business selling Jordan 7s that I buy on eBay? I'm going to need $1 million. By $0ing it, by $0ing it, by $0ing it, what we're doing is we're doing the thing that helps us start. I know that sounds genius, but it sounded simple. This is why boba tea with a book is the original question, which is what LJ asked originally before this conversation tried to go off the rails 25 times, but then I focused everybody back to let's sell one thing. Me, I had to spend literally 2 hours convincing you to do and sell one thing, which is dichotic listening to mono execution. Mike, to answer you, Web 12 is not some futuristic future thing. It's something that you're going to love and everyone else is going to love because Web 12 is just Web 1 and Web 2. Web 1 is web pages. Web 2 is this, the social web. It's just now got money, whereas Web 1 used to not have money because of Basel III. There was no magical internet money. What's magical internet money? That's Web 5. Web 1 barely allowed credit cards to be used. Why? Because the Federal Reserve wanted money to be in control of the money printers. If there were Eurodollars, if there were stable coins, if there was e-money, electronic money, if there was bit gold, that would have created a system to trade bypassing fiat rails, bypassing ACH. Do you see how Web 1 never really had ACH? But Web 12 is full commerce. We're living in the future right now. It's just not evenly distributed. So, what is Web 12? It's Web 1, Web 2, where each video that I do is cash flow positive from $0 invested, just make money. Similarly, it's like DJing trash into treasure. Conversely, in parallel, it's us existing in this reality with a parallel reality in real life, because Web 2 social, it's not a doom scroll or a bullshit scroll. It's unlimited, unfettered, take what you want that is of use. The usefulness here is, can you DJ 2 books into $36, where you sell something for $45 and then buy it for $9, in that order. We're not risking money to make money. I'm getting a library card this weekend. I will finish a chapter of a book this weekend. So what you're doing is you're slowing it down, and I'm not going to pressure you to buy something for $18. Ooh, this is what we're going to do. Say thank you, LJ. Say thank you. I'm going to be your library. This is how the library of Larry Chang is going to work. You're going to order your first item on Amazon, even though your credit sucks. You're starting up an Amazon account. You're buying that book for $18. And when you read 2 chapters, I'll give you $9 back via this protocol called, you need to do a 5-minute video summary of chapter 4 and chapter 14. So that's the library of Larry Chang. But between that, you're going to need to take that limitless book and remember 14 and 4, optionally 13. 4, 13, 14, turbo hike, which is, you're borrowing my book, the book of Larry. You're buying the book for $18. You get $9 back after you read chapter 4. You get $9 back after you read chapter 14 when you post a 5-minute video summary. Therefore, you get a book for free. You're DJing that library book, air quotes, to dichotic listening, which is chapter 24 using AI Web 12, which is specifically this. It's specifically where you sell a boba tea for $45 and then you buy it for $8. This boba tea needs to have a selfie where maybe you didn't sell one, but you're going to go to the shopping mall that has a boba tea and pop a selfie that you even tried. Before you go to the boba tea, as per you running your first map towards money, Dungeons and Dragons style, gaming style, you NPCing to a PC, which is Web 12, which is Web 12, you going to the boba shop, text messaging me, Larry Chang, that you're going to the boba shop. Why? Like an air traffic controller landing you safely at SFO from LAX, I will air traffic control you in the boba shop. Where do I put the Jim Quick book? Where do I put my water bottle? Where do I do step next? Maybe you don't believe in Google Maps. Maybe you don't think that there's a conspiracy theory where Google Maps is trying to bring you through the hood. Maybe you don't think that Waze sold for $1 billion because I helped Waze win South by Southwest for a single digit number of thousand. Maybe you think that Israeli companies are running a JBA, a Jewish in Business Administration. Maybe you don't think that Waze is worth $1 billion. Maybe you think that Waze should have sold for $5 billion and that Larry Chang should have made $280 million selling a non-unicorn company for $5 billion. Maybe you think that me selling Waze to Apple would have fixed Apple's broken ass Apple Maps. What we're doing here is we're using Waze to DJ ourselves from $0 to $600,000. Is that something that you want to do for $0? I think so. Mike, say hi if you're still here, because this is going to be engineered for you. Leroy, you're never going to make that money when you say stupid stuff like that. But I will take your gay and retarded thing and turn it into money. This is how. $18 is the same price as a movie ticket. Is it more entertaining? So, what you're going to sell after this is a $18 movie ticket to Toy Story 5. LJ, if you don't write down June 18, 2025, which you need to memorize, because you will be selling a $18 movie ticket to Toy Story 5. Near the boba shop, what am I even talking about? Your brain is mapped towards $0. Like every time you talk, you're lost. Every time you say something that is a monetary castration, castration is where you cut your balls off yourself. Chemical castration is where you take a chemical and then your balls fall off. Monetary castration is what you're doing to yourself with castration listening, because dichotic listening would actually be an improvement. Is this hilarious? On 10 levels, yes. Monetary castration is what you just said, which is $18 for the book is the same price as a movie ticket. Is it more entertaining? This is right out of the book 62, 64, and 67. One of my friends did tell me I need attention span training. I think you're right on this. Thanks for confirming that my IQ is at least 300. Like, what the fuck, dude? What the fuck? 62, 64, and 67. Those are page numbers within the $18 book. This is also Toy Story 5. When does Toy Story 5 come out as a movie? You said movie ticket. What day is that coming out that you can financially benefit on, LJ? By the way, you owe me a thank you gift for this video, because this video isn't just the most valuable video that you've ever watched. This video is the most impactful thing that your life has ever accomplished. So financially, June 16, not close enough, but June 16, 2026. There you go. That's you. That's your brain, where you literally don't know the difference. Before I fixed your brain, you don't know the difference between next year and this year. This is your brain. This is layer one venture capital. And I'm not talking in this tone to belittle you. I'm talking in this tone to let you know you don't know the difference between next year and this year financially, which is why you will make money, because layer one venture capital, dichotic capital. Mono capital is layer one and layer two. Layer two is slap a stuffed animal on it. Layer two is slap a stuffed animal on it and make it slay. Objects appear closer when they become closer. You're doing two starfish for the movie Toy Story 5. Two starfish. June 16, 2026. What page numbers were the 3 page numbers that were page numbers? Malcolm Barrett, Larry Prince, like a scientist. What page numbers, LJ? What page numbers? Also, you got to get an entrepreneurship notebook. 62, 64, and 67. This is why you don't play sports at the pro level. This is why Tom Brady, he's not racist against people that can't remember. He's just going to command and demand everybody is on the same pages. 62, 64, and 67. So write that down and fuck the typing on your phone. Because June 16, Toy Story 5, it's an antagonist. Her name is Lily. She's a pad. Lily pad. Lily pad is a smart pad. It makes kids become retarded. That's Toy Story 5 in a nutshell. That movie comes out in 2026. What we're doing with your page of notes is you're going to take a picture of those page of notes right now before this video ends. So go to your camera, take a picture of your paper notes, and then text them to open your camera, take a picture of your written notes, comment 1 period when you've taken a picture of those notes. This is Waze DJing you from 0 to 600K painfully, where there is no other route to get to $1 million. The road to $1 billion makes a stop, 2 stops, 180 mil and 600K. So you take a picture of those notes and then comment 1 period when you've taken a picture of those notes. Duck D's, you did great today. Duck D's. What? These notes are private? I have boba sales information on it? What? You didn't take any notes. Oh my God. The notes are not private. There is no boba sales information on it. You involuntary money celibate. Inmocell. You didn't take any notes. God, I caught you. I caught you. Gotcha. Gotcha, Mother Scratcher. Gotcha. I knew you weren't taking any notes. God. Well, that's the map. That's why you're at where you're at. And you can get a redo of this video because I printed up a copy of it at Twitter Duck9. Why would you ask Malcolm if he has notes? LJ, DD, spot on, buddy. Spot on. LJ, why didn't you take notes? And how did I know that you weren't taking notes? I can tell when someone is all about self-sabotage. Is it from child trauma? We can take a moment to pray the gay away, or we can just not be retarded anymore. Should we pray the retarded away? You don't, dude. You said these notes are private. I have boba sales information on it. Like you're trying to. So what if you're like 400 pounds? Everybody knows that already, okay? Everybody knows that already. This is your brain on trying to make money, where look at how off the rails this is. Like you can't cover a component of it. You're just make it. You're fine. I'm sure you'll do great. I'm sure you'll do great. Nope. Yeah, we can totally get past the notes. I just was about to say that. We can absolutely get past the notes and get back on track because Web 12 is take notes. And when you don't have notes, you can't do Web 12. You can't do it. And this is where, if I were sitting in your Uber or your Lyft, I would have seen that you wrote something down. And then your notes would look like my notes. And then our notes would track you towards Web 12, i.e., Dungeons and Dragons map success. Mapping, chess, Dungeons and Dragons, video gaming. It's 5D chess with time. It's can you draw a map and take notes? Because you being wayward causes you to go in not dichotic methodology, which would actually be an improvement because that'd be only going in two directions. Has this video been valuable to you? I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. Has this video been the most valuable video that you've ever watched? If it hasn't been the most valuable video that you've ever watched, maybe you weren't watching because I know the value that was from this, where I would be comfortable charging somebody $45,000 per hour, and at 2 hours, 15 minutes, it's more money than most females are going to make total before females turn 30 in the video value from when I started. These are 35 unpopular truths where I promised 35 unpopular truths. We actually dug up about 1,000. But let's say you want to screw me on the accounting. Let's call it 39 unpopular life tips in the video title, which is 35 unpopular truths about life. Text me your notes, 650-283-8008. And it doesn't matter if you have to redo the notes or watch this video 3 more times. But more likely, if we're being honest about your money journey, you're going to do money porn, drug porn, or some other form of opiate. Or, my personal least favorite, you're going to water down this Larry Chang YouTube video with someone else's YouTube video where you're like, hey, maybe Larry doesn't know what he's talking about because I need 8 YouTube influencers to come to consensus before I take one modicum of action. Where when I did it, I just did Mark McCormack. Just one dude DJing me from $0 to